The Fremont decision, Brandon. My son Brandon went to North Ogden Elementary, North Ogden Junior High, had some issues there with coaches and parents and stuff like that. He was kind of a fiery kind of a kid from time to time. You know, I'm sure he got that from me and so forth. He was very competitive. But anyway, there's some problems associated with going to Weber. So we tried to get on the Weber team. The one coach came to our junior high competition league AAU tournament down in Salt Lake, and his name was Chris. I can't remember what his last name was, but he was the assistant coach, like the third assistant coach or something to Coach Dickamore, which is a cousin of ours up at Weber High. And Dickamore was really good with me when I was in high school, but I don't know what happened with the Brandon situation. But anyway, Chris thought he was all that, and when he came to this game in Salt Lake, Brandon swore or something and got in a little bit of trouble with the ref, but he goes, "You'll never play with me at Weber High you'll never play a day of basketball at Weber High if you act like that." And we're like, yeah, whatever, you're trying to tell us what to do already. I understand that he needs to be respectful of his coaches, that's okay, but the guy just seemed like he was overly powerful about his position as a coach, as an assistant coach. Anyway, so we went to play in the summer. We went to play with, or maybe it was the spring, we went to play with the Weber team, the Weber High School team, with this coach Chris up in Logan. And this guy just, man, he was frustrating to deal with, And anyway, Brandon, we actually had two of our players. We were ahead. Let's see, we had 5 players. The Northridge kids had 2 of their players foul out, so they only had 3 players on their basketball team roughly the last half of the last quarter, and they still beat us. He couldn't figure out how to take his 5 Weber players and beat 3 Northridge players. Brandon was livid. We were livid, and we walked out of there, took off. And he goes, "Dad, I think I want to go to Fremont. We've been thinking about Bonneville. We've been thinking about Ben Lomond. We've been thinking about, do we really want to go to Weber with what's going on with?" There was a parent who was a teacher, and she was giving some crap to Brandon because her son was in direct competition with him. So she was lifting her son up and putting Brandon down with the coaches and the teachers all the time up there, mostly the coaches. So he's like, "Man, I think I want to go to Fremont." So we left. For the last 1 or 2 games of the day, we just disappeared. We didn't even show up in Logan for the last 2 games for him to play with the Weber team. We were so irritated with this coach and the situation that was going on. So anyway, the next morning, I get a call from the coach. "Is this Bruce?" I said, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "This is Coach Chris." I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" He goes, "Where was Brandon yesterday?" I says, "We decided to go do something else." I didn't tell him what we were doing quite yet. He goes, "Well, Brandon's on his last chance. This is his last chance." Well, that was his first time that he ever had an issue with him. Of course, I don't blame him. I would have told him, "Hey, you don't show up to the games. You're not going to play for me either. I'm okay with that." But what Chris didn't realize is Brandon already made the decision when he walked out of the gym. To hell with Weber. I'm playing for Fremont. Anyway, so we never went back to the tournament to watch Weber play. We went and watched Fremont play. And then we were at I think it's called Annie's Place or something like that. It's across the street from, what do they call it? A&W Root Beer up in Logan. It was a little restaurant, Annie's Restaurant. It's like a little lunch and breakfast dinner place. And we saw Cole Allen and his mom and dad and some of the Fremont players. So we went over and visited with them. They go, "Hey, how's it going? How come you're not at your game?" I go, we're not going to that game. We decided to go to Fremont." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, "Yeah, really? No way." Anyway. And we knew these kids. We had played with these kids, but some of them were like, "No way, I don't think you're coming to Fremont." Anyway, that was it, man. We were sitting in the restaurant going, "Here's how we're going to make Fremont happen." So, went down. We had driven down before to Fremont and sat by in the parking lot right in just to the north of the football field, and we had talked about the options of Fremont versus Ben Lomond versus Bonneville versus going to Weber and the crap that was going on up there, and North Ogden Junior High, how big of a hassle that was. And he says, I kind of want to go to Fremont. But anyway, once that last basketball game happened, that was it. No more Fremont, man, or no more Weber. He was going to Fremont. That's the last time we ever dealt with him. So the guy calls me and threatens me. Chris says, Brandon's on his last chance. And I thought, oh, okay, thank you. You know, I appreciate your call. I was nice, but what I thought to myself is, Chris, you just got your last chance. You're done. We're not putting up with your crap anymore. Anyway, so went to Fremont. Football started roughly August. We showed up to the football practice, or for the double sessions. I went to drop Brandon off, and there, so my friend, his name was Jerry. I'm not going to say the last name, but Jerry, and his son name was Cole. We pulled in at the same time they pulled up, and Cole was the region quarterback. He was the winning district quarterback from Rocky Mountain. And Brandon wanted to play quarterback at Fremont. We'd already talked to Monkers. We'd already talked to Joe James, who was my wrestling coach in high school. He was now Brandon's principal over there. And he says, "Yeah, bring Brandon over. We'll be happy to have him." Sat down with Monkers. He said, "Sure, we'll be happy to have you, Brandon." Brandon's a good athlete, and he's a competitive athlete. So anyway, we pulled up, and there's Jerry with Cole, and they looked at us like, "What the heck? You're really coming to Fremont?" "Yep, we're here to go to Fremont." Wow. You could tell that they were just kind of like, oh, they were a little frustrated. So anyway, Brandon became Brandon played as a quarterback his sophomore year. He had 4 games. His junior year, 0 games all the way through his junior year, except for like one of the last games where he had to go in because Cole was having a hard time. Went in and threw 2 or 3 touchdown possibility passes, hit people right in the chest. They couldn't even catch him. He won the varsity spot right then. They had planned for him to be the varsity quarterback when he was a sophomore, but he had to wait. Now, what's interesting about this is Brandon was never was given a chance by Lee in elementary or in the junior high, young elementary time frame, or by Coach Allen or Coach Allen, and I can't remember the other coach's name up at North Ogden Junior High. Never given a chance to play quarterback. It was always Ben Miller this, Ben Miller that. Brandon has the arm. He has the ability to see the field. He had a really good arm, good athlete. Anyway, never got a chance at Weber, so we took off to Fremont. He participated in basketball, which was one of his favorite sports. Got cut as a junior and started wrestling. He took 6th in state his first year and wrestled and really loved wrestling. Basketball, they were undefeated as a sophomore. His team was undefeated as a sophomore, and as a senior, he was their starting quarterback. So he had played 4 games at quarterback, maybe 5, probably 5 at quarterback. Well, 4 games or 5 games his sophomore year, and then he played for like a quarter his junior year at quarterback, and then he was their starting quarterback his senior year. What would have happened to Brandon had he been able to play quarterback with more abilities? When he and his team from Fremont played up at Weber as a sophomore, they kicked the crap out of Weber. But when they played as a varsity team up there, I can't remember, maybe it was a closer game when they were sophomore, but when he played as a senior up at Weber High, they beat him 29 to nothing. The Weber kids were livid. Coach Bosker would not even shake his hand after the game. So, which was a great compliment. I told Brown it was a great compliment. You kicked their butt so bad he wouldn't even shake your hand. But anyway, it was never about Bosketer. It was about the other politic crap that was going on with the basketball situation. But Coach Chris actually came up to me 1 or 2 times after that and said, "I apologize for how I treated Brandon and what happened, and we really missed him, and we really could have used him at Weber High." And I said, "Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But man, the decision to go to Fremont was amazing. He met great friends there. He had a great experience. He met great girls, great guys. The teachers and coaches were very nice with Brandon there. It's interesting how when a kid's struggling and there's certain things, I'm not saying that he didn't create his own unique problems and situation. However, he was always treated a little bit differently because he was more outspoken because he worked with adults since he was in junior high. He worked on our roofing crews since he was in junior high. He didn't really fear adults, and so he brought that attitude, and it was no big deal. He didn't fear him. He didn't try to disrespect them either. But anyway, the Fremont High School was a wonderful decision, and out of that, I have long-term friends, Chris Song, Cody Story, Brian Murdoch, those guys. There was just a lot of cool things that happened out of making an odd decision and going to Fremont versus staying at Weber. He got to play baseball. He got to anyway, in baseball, he was a designated hitter, but they couldn't find a place for him to play out in the field. Politics once again. I'm not going to say what I think on that one, but anyway, it's a little bit irritating. I think Coach Thompson was pressuring Coach Arnold not to play him, only let him be a designated hitter because he didn't his play his junior year or whatever. But there's crap that goes on like that. But overall, 98% of the time out there at Fremont, it was a wonderful decision. Brandon was able to excel in football, wrestling, some in track, a little bit, and then it was a great experience. And we've had a lot of family blessings since then. But it was kind of interesting when the kids from Fremont, which were sort of his friends, finally figured out that he was going to come to Fremont. They totally accepted him. I thought he was going to be really nervous, and it was stressful the first day, but after that he just blended right in and did a great job. It was a great change, and his friends at Fremont were wonderful with him. So were the coaches and the teachers.